Connecticut, every legally sold cannabis product undergoes testing for mold, yeast, aspergillus, fungus, and other contaminants. However, only the passing test results are made public, as failed tests are not accessible to consumers and are excluded from the Freedom of Information Act. Some advocates argue this lack of transparency benefits the marketplace over consumers, who need access to failed testing data to make informed purchasing decisions. Industry leaders and legislators counter that this data is irrelevant to consumers since products that fail testing are not sold. They believe revealing failed tests might mislead consumers about the overall safety and quality of the products that are available. Erin Gorman-Kirk, the state cannabis ombudsman, acknowledges consumer concerns over mold and yeast in cannabis products. She finds it critical to know which products pass or fail to address potential issues effectively. Medical cannabis patient Josiah Schlee from Simsbury claims the state deliberately obscures negative information, compromising consumer trust and product quality. According to the state law, all cannabis products must be tested by third-party labs, and passing results are available online. However, the public does not know if a product previously failed or was later remediated. Department of Consumer Protection spokesperson Caitlin Kraselt states that failing tests are not public because these products are not sold. Attorney Mark Samurga suggests that regulators and law enforcement can use failed test data to address significant issues, ensuring public protection without causing unnecessary alarm. Rhino Farisi of Affinity Grow explains that sometimes failed products are processed into other forms like vape cartridges or gummies, which can eliminate contaminants before retesting and sales. Schlee believes consumers should be informed about such remediations. State Rep Josh Elliott supports more transparency and is considering legislation to make failed test data public. However, some legislators like State Rep Melissa Osborne argue that such data could mislead consumers and be used anti-competitively. The debate continues over the balance between transparency and potential impact on consumer protection and industry reputation. And this article, you guys, was insanely long, so you got my abridged version of it. If you want to read the full article, you're welcome to do so at our website. But I think that this is an interesting argument. I understand that consumers want to know which brands are consistently producing a safe product. On the other hand, the states have regulatory-based remediation methods. It's usually distillation, right? So that is the method the state has decided that this is going to make this product that would not have been safe otherwise remediated and therefore safe for consumption. So that does end up in a lot of your distillate vape pens, your distillate sprayed gummies, things like that, right? So I think it's interesting to, one, you see all the same brands are failing over and over again. When we see these recalls, we only see a few different brands. We don't see a bunch of different players with these issues, right? So yeah, I think over time you should be like, well, maybe I'm not going to stock this brand anymore. They're consistently sourcing bad product. On the other hand, there are things that can make you feel that have nothing to do with your product, right? I tell people who are filling vape carts, for example, test all portions of your product, including the vape cartridge that you're going to fill. Those things are shipped over in shipping containers that are all sprayed for what? Bugs. So that could cause pesticide transfer over onto your carts. So you could hot fill a bunch of carts with perfectly good material, but now you have a product that's unsafe for human consumption, which is why we have to test it in its final form as it's to be sold to the consumer. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. There's definitely some voices on the panel from all parts of the industry. Yarrow is our resident vape sucker, so I can't wait to hear his opinions on this. But yeah, I'm going to throw it back to you guys.
Sorry, I turned my mic off too early for that one. Threw a little jab in there at Yarrow, the man of tomorrow, over here with his mute on.
His hard
I'm gonna say this before Yarrow gets in here. So I think what it is like part of this problem, why we see consistency with certain brands, is because a lot of these brands that are actually selling a product aren't actually producing any of the components for that product, right? So they're getting the product from some third party. They're sourcing all the other components for that CPG to make it to the market to be sold. So that's a problem when there's a major white labeler that is white labeling for many different organizations, and they have one source of their material, maybe one process, maybe they're producing all of it from many different lots, whether clean, dirty, in between, and they're figuring out a way to get that to pass at the end of the day. But sometimes like their math obviously isn't as good, and we know that the labs also can make mistakes when it comes to numbers and decimals. So ultimately, it's when you're out there trying to make a brand for your product. If you really have this desire to launch a brand in a state, make sure you're going to the right producer partner or production partner rather to help you to do that, and make sure that they're sourcing from a clean grow, or maybe you have the cultivation partner for them to take the material. Either way, you really have to get involved into the supply chain. You can't really be passive and hands off if you're a business owner, if you're a brand owner in this game, whether you have your own facility and your own vertical production, or you're doing what I was just describing and going out and buying what's available on the market to put into a product. Just be careful. And there's really, if the onus is on the business owner. If you're not testing, if you're not doing the due diligence, then you can't really sit there and cry foul at the end of the day. So that's really all I have to say.
Yarrow. All these failed tests, man, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for a regulated industry.
Oh, but just like there's bad doctors, bad lawyers, bad operators, there's going to be bad lab owners. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, that is 100% true, and I'm just saying, like, this is more fuel for the trap.
But do y'all think that we should be releasing these failed test results? I mean, obviously, as the industry, we know because we can see them, right? You have a pass or fail. And for those of you at home that don't work in the retail regulated industry, I'll let you know how this works. I send my test out to, say, Todd's lab, right? Everything in that batch is quarantined. I can't touch that batch. I can't look at it, breathe on it too heavy until I get those tests back that say passed. Those tests are entered into metric, right, by Todd's lab. So if that's a fail, automatically that product is now put on a complete administrative hold. So we know there's a pass or fail column when we're looking at our current inventory in metric, right? And so that we know as the operators what's failed, what's passed, if we need to remediate. When we go to remediate, we have to come up with a plan, address that with the state, say, hey, we have this failed test result. Here is our plan to remediate. We're going to take this flour, grind it up, run it in a distillate. We're going to take this flour, say, fuck it, cut our losses because we fucked up, right? And we're going to mix it up with soil, and we're going to compost it, and we're going to destroy it. So I think that it's interesting because if you don't understand on the consumer side what our processes are, then maybe I could see, you're a little afraid that maybe they're, just slipping one past the goalie and throwing it out anyway. But it's very difficult to do so. Yes, Yarrow?
Well, you said something about breathing heavy on it. And I just want to say, if that's the case, I want to be your biomass. And with an emphasis on mass. And
can that be your biomass, girl?
And now that you guys are laughing and gleeful, and I'm no longer talking about girthy, I think that there's two arguments. One is, do we let the consumer know about all of these results because it could create fear in the marketplace if they don't understand the checks and balances and the safety that exists in a regulated supply chain. The other argument is a greater level of transparency that the industry can provide, the more consumer confidence. And that's the position that I would take. I think people want to be informed. They want to understand. And I think that the more information they have, always the better.
They can't buy.
Jenny, back to your question, should we be publicizing these? I think yes.
I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing: like the industry's already under a microscope, and if these failed tests and everything are not publicized, that's easy for somebody to leak that information and use it as and weaponize that against the industry.
I don't see it as a point because the product is all quarantined. But I do think that there should be some type of sticker or label attached to products that have been remediated. And I think the public should know that, because that is actually something that is being sold that failed an original test result.
I think it kind of has to be, because it's still federally illegal. And if you want people to quote unquote like believe that it is safe, I think this is the only way. I'm just saying, like, people are going to leak that information regardless, and they're going to use it against people.
Yeah, well, producers and cultivators, the national average is between 12 and 15% failure rate, right? Whether it's for micro or for pesticides or, once in a while, heavy metals. So everybody fails, right? Everybody fails once in a while, right? So, publishing that, as long as they're doing the right thing afterwards,
Todd.
and not selling the product,
Exactly.
then there's no sense in, really publicizing that. Everybody fails. They could just publicize it all. So, and my dog is really adamant about it.
Yes. Look at that.
Yes.
We got to roll into a commercial. We're going to be right back.
Let's do it.